All right. Sounds good. Looks good. Yeah.
Okay, so first question, how long have you known about typology?
Okay, so basically, I think when I was around 17 or 18, I took one of those old tests online. I think it was the old human metrics test, and
Mhm.
I think I got something like
Don't
IS.
tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me. Don't tell me what other tests said you are. Okay.
Yeah, how did I know about typology? Basically, I just came across it one day, and I just thought it was, kind of interesting because
But
it's
how long? How long have you known about it for?
about a decade, just over a decade.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
And have you watched a lot of my typing sessions?
I've skimmed through a few, so I kind of know the basics of what they're like. So yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So you said before that you lived for a while in Thailand, right?
Yeah, for just over a year. Yeah.
Can you think of a single favorite moment from that whole year and describe it to me?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say if there was a moment where I was really, proud of myself, I would say the first thing that comes off the top of my head was, so at one of the apartments I lived in, so just right outside it, there was a 7-Eleven. There was a man who worked day to night to sell fruit. He had his own like carts and all that, and I saw that he was working long hours, and I just felt bad for the guy. He was standing there for like 12, 13 hours a day. So I just wanted to do something nice for him because I just felt like it. So I thought, like, why not just get this guy a stool? Why not get this guy a bench to sit on? So I looked around at the supermarkets at the stores near where I lived, and they weren't selling any. So I went a bit out of my way. I went to a supermarket and they were selling those like little stools. So I got one for him. And then I gave it to him, and then yeah, he took it, and there was a bit of a language barrier. So yeah, but there was this one time where I went to buy fruit from him again as part of my routine, and he just pointed at the stool, and he was like, I could tell he was thanking me for that. He was like, hey, I like this stuff. This is good stuff. Yeah. So I'm glad I was
I
able to
see.
just help him out like that. So yeah.
That's a very revealing answer. Thank you for sharing
All right.
that with me.
Thanks. Thanks.
Um, can you talk to me about your sleeping habits? How many hours of sleep do you get a night? Whether you fall asleep easily or if it's hard for you, etc.
Oh gosh, it's not easy for me to fall asleep. I'll say on average, I get about 6, maybe 7 hours of quality sleep a night. I would say I'm a night owl, and I've been since middle school basically. So I guess maybe starting from when I was 15, 16, maybe I've been a night owl. So yeah, it's not uncommon for me to just not fall asleep until, 2, 3, maybe even 4 in the morning sometimes because I'm like, I just have a lot going on in my head. I just think about lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, assuming that you go to bed later than you want to,
And
um, if you then have to get up sooner than you want to, and you've gotten too little sleep in a given night, how does that impact you the next day?
basically, I start bumping into things. I'm just generally tired. I forget things. I just mess up on stuff. Like for example, I forget things. I leave them where they are, and then I forget. The things that people tell me. Basically, even if they told me several times that, oh, like, Andy, go do this, and I just forget about it. Also, I guess more generally, I get a bit more cranky. I get a bit more, just easily irritated. I tend to, yeah, just,
Okay.
yeah, feel a bit annoyed about lots of stuff. So,
Can you tell me about your eating, your relationship with food now? Do you eat 3 meals a day? Are you a grazer? Do you snack throughout the day? Do you skip breakfast? Things like
mm,
that.
I generally skip breakfast if left to myself. I basically have lunch and dinner. Basically have 2 meals a day, and basically I would say around the same time. So lunch 12 to 1:30, dinner I have it I'd say 5:30, between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. So relatively consistent. And snacking, well, depends. I wouldn't say it's a habit for me, but there have been times where, I was just kind of hungry or just kind of feeling like it. And then I just impulsively get a late night snack. Or, yeah, sometimes throughout the day, especially if I'm somewhere new, if I'm traveling, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. And then I get it. But then I wouldn't say it's a super big habit. I stick to my regular meal times for the most part. So, yeah.
Okay. So now let's talk about cold and hot.
Yep.
So let's say it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Are you somebody who's going to be on the more lightly dressed side because you run hot? Or are you going to be somebody who like, oh, it's cold, I better put on a parka because when it gets cold, I get super shivery? Or are you somebody who just doesn't really notice and you go, oh, wow, I'm cold all of a sudden, but everybody else is wearing a jacket and you're wearing a t-shirt?
Yeah, I'd say lightly dressed. I often underdress, and it's only when I realize I go out and how cold it is, and I'm like, oh, I should have put on more clothes. So I'm basically the impact of the cold. I'd say a lot of times it takes some time to get to me. So
Okay.
yeah,
And if you get sick, do you feel like you can tell it's coming down the pike? Like, oh, I can feel myself getting a little something. I might be coming down with something. I bet tomorrow I'm going to be sick. Or is it something like you're already fairly sick and you go, oh, geez, I just noticed I'm sick. I haven't really noticed it until now.
yeah. I usually notice the symptoms like fairly early on. I'm like, I can't even if I can't like fully describe it. I'm like, yeah, probably something's happening to me, and then I'm probably just not feeling as I usually do. So usually the signs are there. I pick up on the signs like more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you chose where you chose today to have this meeting? Is this like where you normally sit, or did you pick this
Okay.
spot for a
Well,
reason? Or
I picked this spot for a reason because, first of all, I'm in my hotel room. There's only me. There's no one else. So there's no one else to disturb me. And also because well, I have my phone in front of me in the place I do because it's really the only place that lets me do it. It's really the only place with a bit of a seating area with a bit of a table, and also, yeah, it just lets me,
I forgot you were in a hotel room.
yeah,
I was thinking you were
yeah.
that question is I
But if
asked
I
it
was
under the
at
assumption
home,
that you're at home.
yeah, if I was at home, I'd essentially do the same. I pick somewhere quiet, no distractions, or as few distractions as possible, and then to just have a place where I can just entirely focus for 1 hour. So that would be the same sort of process at home. Just
Did
having
you
this, yeah.
how I'm sure like, hey, Trouble, you better knock it off. You're a bad kitty.
Oh,
He's
okay.
he's going after our other kitty, Trouble,
Yeah,
because he's
cat.
a very bad kitty. That's why he's named Trouble.
I can see
Okay,
why.
what a terrible cat he is.
Yeah,
Anyway, what was I gonna ask before I got distracted all of a sudden? Uh, okay, well, comfortable chair.
yeah,
Do you are you somebody who before you settle into a long task, you like, did you get yourself a drink? Or well, you're on vacation, so it's hard to ask. But like, if pretend you're at home, would
yep.
you have made sure the chair was comfortable, or did you spend a lot of time picking out the chair to make sure it's comfortable in the first place? And or would you get yourself a drink first and maybe everything you need get all set up before you sit down, or you just kind of go, oh shit, it's a minute till 10:30. I better get on my app right now, and then I'll figure out where to sit.
I'm basically I do spend a bit of time picking a place that's relatively comfortable to me, but as for some of the other details, is usually a while into the task until I notice them. I'm like, yeah, maybe I could adjust the position of the chair a bit, or maybe I could just, just maybe I could move somewhere else. So, but usually I just, yeah, it takes a while for me to really just, you know, respond to, the position of these sorts of things. So I'd say it's not something that comes the most naturally to me, although I have a general idea of where I want to be. So,
Okay. Now, can you tell me the ways in which you were different when you were in elementary school versus middle school?
yeah. Okay. So, when I was in elementary school, one of the, well, one of the first things that, I was brainy. I was nerdy. I was interested in a bit of everything. I kind of had different interests from the other kids. When the other kids were interested in toys, video games, not saying I wasn't, but at the same time, I was also interested in, like all the pyramids, just marine life, all these different kinds of interests that, were kind of, yeah, I don't know, not really on the radar of a lot of the other kids. And another thing was that I was known for being, kind of, I was known for having difficulty following instructions, as in, well, a lot of teachers, they told me and they told my parents that I basically lived in my own world. I had my head in the clouds a lot of times. And if it was something I wanted to do, if it was something that interested me, I could just produce a pretty fine piece of work. But if it wasn't, then I just didn't really bother just putting in much effort. So that's one thing. And I would say in elementary school, I was known as the, kind of the shy, sensitive sort of kid, who was quite obedient, never caused any trouble. And that carried, I guess, into a good part of middle school. But towards the end of that, when I was maybe 16 or so, I guess I enter my delayed, rebellious adolescent phase, if you will. And I basically turned into someone who was, just more willing to, I guess, question authority, just question everything I was told. It was also the point I started realizing, my family was, dysfunctional and not normal, unlike what they claimed. They were like, yeah, all families are like this. And so I started developing a more of a rebellious, independent streak, and I had a very strong desire to just get away, to travel, to explore, and just live the
Did
kind
you
of
go?
life that I really wanted to live. Yeah,
Did you go to college?
I did. And that
What did you
was
study?
history. I majored in history, so liberal arts.
Okay, tell me about college.
Okay, so college was a weird time for me looking back, because I entered college half-heartedly. I didn't want to, because I was already questioning a lot about the education system when towards the end of high school. So I was like, do I really want another 4 years in this like rigidly structured system where I was told, what to do, what to learn, when to learn it, and how to learn it. So, but then I ended up going because I didn't know what else I would do. And also, I had a friend who was like, just go for the experience or else you might regret not going. So I went. I applied and I went. And I went to college. A big thing for me was I had one goal in mind. It was to graduate. It was to get that piece of paper. And especially towards the end of college, I sacrificed 3 summer breaks in order to graduate in exactly 4 years. I was like, I just have to push my way through, like no matter what it takes. So that's what I did, and it was also a sensitive time for me because, especially towards the beginning, adjusting to college, it was an experience in and of itself, first of all, and also Yeah, well, those were strange times with my family, with my mom. I got into a fight with her one night. She just started sending these random messages to me for just no apparent reason. I don't remember what exactly happened, but yeah, it was a hard time for me, and I tried to kill myself that night, basically. So yeah,
Well,
and
I'm glad you didn't succeed.
well, thank you, thank you. I'm glad. Well, the reason why I felt that way was the reason why I felt that way was because I was just so overwhelmed with just everything my mom was throwing at me that night. But I might have felt something close to that, like a couple more times throughout those 4 years. But I something that kept me going was, I guess, hope for a better life in the future. And also, I felt like if I went through and succeeded with any of those attempts, then that would basically be the equivalent of, telling my family, telling these people that they won, that their messaging got to me in the end. So yeah, my college years were, looking back, I didn't have the typical college experience with all the partying, with all the, self-discovery. I was just like really desperate to just get through my program. So yeah, that was basically
And so
my.
you finished it. You got a degree in history.
Yes, I did. I did. I got a bachelor's. Yeah.
Right. And so then what? Now you're into traveling. So
I'm
did you try to find work in your field, or did you do something else, or what?
I never actually tried. The first thing that was on my mind at the time was becoming an English teacher, because I thought, well, it was a way to get away from my family, just to, in a sense, just to have my own income. And yeah, I got an English teaching degree when I was in Europe, and I spent a month in England getting an English teaching degree. So yeah, and I thought I was going to teach English. I thought I was going to do TEFL or something like that. But yeah, that I applied for a few jobs. Just basically messed up a few interviews. One of them I was dressed in pajamas, I guess. Yeah. So, and the others, they just had crazy. These were jobs in China, by the way. The others they either expected me to work crazy hours, or they were just like just far, far away, and just to get to the job every day would have taken like 2 hours. So some of them were like that. So, and I also had some friends in the field who were already doing that, and I was able to watch like how they were as teachers on a daily basis, how they taught their classes and all that, and a lot of it was. First of all, there was the schedule. They started in the afternoon, but they finished at like 8 or 9 in the evening, and which meant like late dinners practically every single day. And they didn't get weekends off, because a lot of the students, they only go to classes on weekends. And also another part was that yeah, they basically spent a lot of time, just coming up with they have to, like, come up with different activities like games and things like that to like keep their students entertained. And I just realized, like, do I really have the energy for that? I'm not sure if I do. So yeah, that didn't quite work out. And then yeah, um
What did
it,
you decide to do instead?
what did I do instead? I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. I did a bit of online teaching with a friend for a while, but eventually, one of the student that I was kind of like co-teaching with him, her mom, she was like 9 or 10 at the time. But eventually her mom didn't really want me to be a co-teacher, because her mom thought, well, my friend was the one that knew the stuff, whereas I was just kind of, just a spare, person there. So eventually that came to an end. So I'm still trying to figure it out, doing some content creation, doing some freelance photography right now, and seeing where that takes me, basically. So
Cool, cool.
yeah.
Okay. Uh, Let me ask you to do some ordinations.
Mhm.
Can you break down the task of giving yourself a haircut into exactly 5 steps?
Okay, so first of all, I go to my nearest salon. Um, I pick the I pick the package that I want. I pick the price range, the price that I want, and the haircut I'm gonna get for that price. I see if my usual barber is there that day. If not, then I'll choose another barber. Well, another one is fine. Then I'll get the haircut, obviously, and then usually I don't give too many instructions to the barber.
How many steps is this?
I'm at step number
You're
4.
step 4. Okay, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
And then once I finish the haircut, I'll usually request them to kind of give me a hair scrub, and then yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you tell me, what do you think the optimal number of steps is if you were going to break down the task of taking out the trash?
Taking out the trash. I would say 2. Just actually, I'll say 3. Get all the trash in one bag, and then just pick the right bin, whether it's the recycling bin or something, or like a specific bin for like plastic and stuff like that, and then just toss whatever trash I have into those different bins depending on the category of the trash. So 3.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Um, can you propose a solution to the problem of plastic in the oceans?
That's a good one. Plastic in the oceans. Okay, so um well, the best one that I can think of would probably be, well, I'm going to, mm, that's a good one. I have to think about it for a while. Well, yeah, I think, I think first of all, it's about educating people how important the ocean is as an ecosystem to our planet's vitality and our planet's survival. So it starts with educating people on the importance of keeping our seas, keeping our oceans clean. That's
But
part of
that's
it.
not a solution to the existing problem. I'm looking for a solution to the existing problem. Not you're saying you're saying like, well, I want to make sure new plastics don't get into the ocean. But
Uh-huh.
let's say that's already accomplished. Everyone now has stopped putting any more plastic in the ocean.
Mhm.
How are you going to get rid of the existing plastic?
To the existing problems. I think yeah. Um
Just give me multiple ideas if you can't think of a single one that seems like a
I
good
think
idea.
first of all, I think there needs to be research on a way and how to break down these break down off this plastic into, I guess, non-harmful substances. I think that's one way. How to degrade these pieces of plastic into non-harmful substances. That's one way. Maybe I guess with the advent of robotic submersibles and like robots, and maybe you send them like probably like deep into the ocean, and then each one or each group of them can cover a designated area of the ocean and just look for plastic and just pick them up, piece by
Okay.
piece. I think, yeah.
All right, that's good. Thanks. All right. So let me ask you, what's your relationship? Well, actually, I mean, it seems like you've given me pretty good information on this, that you don't seem to have too much of a problem with it. But what's your relationship with procrastination?
My relationship with procrastination is that I hate deadlines, but a lot of times the only way to get me work is with a deadline. So I work in bursts. Like if it's within God, like if it's something's due next week and then I'm like 3 or 4 days before the deadline, that's when that's when I really get that burst of energy and then I'm like, oh, I got to get to work on this. So, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, if I hate deadlines, but it's the only way to get me to, do a lot of work to begin with, basically. So,
Okay, so let me tell you where we are in the typing session. So far, I've eliminated from possibilities.
uh-huh,
You're not TE polar, so you're not an INFJ and you're not an ISFJ.
uh-huh,
You are not SI polar, so
uh-huh,
you're not an ENFJ and you're not an ENTJ.
uh-huh,
And you're not NE polar. I haven't even asked you any questions, but I can tell you that. So that means you're not ISFP or ISTP.
uh-huh,
Those are the 6 types I've eliminated so far.
uh-huh,
Now let's continue.
mhm,
I think I'm going to ask you some extroverted intuition questions now.
uh-huh.
Can you tell me how many synonyms can you think of for the word mischievous?
Mischievous. I would say naughty. Um, whimsical. Let me think. Unpredictable. Um, random. Spontaneous. And what else?
All right, that's good. Thank you.
All right.
That's good.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you some introverted thinking questions. I can go back and do more extroverted intuition in a minute, but I'm going to ask you some introverted thinking questions first.
Mhm.
So, if only bears eat honey and Joe is eating honey, is Joe necessarily a bear?
No, Joe's not.
Yes, he is. If only bears eat honey, then everything that eats honey is a bear.
Uh-huh.
Okay, how about this one?
Uh-huh.
If all librarians love cheesecake and I love cheesecake, am I necessarily a librarian?
Okay. So if all librarians love cheesecake,
And I love cheesecake, am I necessarily a librarian?
no, you're not.
Correct.
Hmm.
Okay, how about if some toads play baccarat
Hmm.
and all things that play baccarat like vodka, is it necessarily the case that some toads like vodka?
So if some toads play back
Baccarat.
baccarat
Bac-
and all things that play baccarat love vodka,
Mhm.
do all
Yeah, is it
toads?
necessarily the case that some toads love vodka?
Hmm. Yes.
Yes, you are correct.
Hmm.
Okay. Can you tell me who my mother's husband is in relation to me?
So your mother's husband. Uh, that would be your maternal grandpa.
Correct.
Hmm.
How about my dad's sister's husband's daughter's brother?
So your dad's sister.
Sister's husband's daughter's brother.
That would be let's see. Your dad's sister would be your aunt, and then her husband's daughter's brother.
Mhm.
Husband's daughter's brother. A nephew?
No, it's your cousin, but that's fine. It was the revelatory who you work it out. Like, it goes, my dad's sister is my aunt. My aunt's husband is my uncle. My uncle's daughter is my cousin, and my uncle's and that cousin's brother is my other cousin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. So I feel like I've got adequate information on TI for you. Um, let's let's talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
How do you feel emotionally right now?
Emotionally right now, I feel. I would say I feel relatively good because I was having a bit of a stomach bug yesterday, as I told you through the email, but I feel slightly better today. I was able to go out, see some things, explore the city a bit, so I feel relatively good. And
Okay.
yeah, I feel calm for the most part, a bit irritated because my mom earlier was just kind of paranoid about my safety and where I am right now. So, but overall, I try not to let that get to me too much. So, yeah, I'm feeling not too bad right now.
Okay. How are you feeling physically right now?
Physically, it could be better because I feel like there's still a bit of cramping in my stomach because of what I went through yesterday, and I haven't fully recovered. So honestly, it's making me a bit nervous, making me a bit anxious. But hopefully, I'll be better soon. Yeah,
Okay. Do you have any creative outlets like playing music, writing, painting, drawing, things like that?
I would say the two big ones for me right now are first of all photography, which is basically just making art with what I see, making art with what's around me. I see that as such, and my other outlet, I would say the closest thing to another outlet for me would be writing. It's a bit different for me than most people. For me, a lot of this writing is on, like forums. It's on, just discussing, just different ideas or things that interest me or, yeah.
Like
So,
typology?
yes, topology is one of them. I have some other hobbies as well, such as, fish tanks or just like general stuff like that, and a bit of history, humanities, stuff like that. So,
If you
for
were
me,
going to argue in favor of people studying history and the value of history and the value of having historians, what would your give me your give me your pitch in favor of the value of history and historians?
I would say, basically, I think for a lot of people, it's personal. It's something that lets them connect with, their families and their personal sense of how they came to be, a sense of this continuity between, the past and the present. And that's a big part of it. I think for many people, it gives them a personal, concrete way of just identifying with where they came from. And also, historians are the people who try to, just preserve that. And also, in a broader sense, I just believe there's value in, just promoting this sense of, shared legacy in terms of, and a lot of this ancient knowledge and all that over the centuries or over thousands of years. And finally, I'd say on a bigger level, I guess I do believe sometimes that those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So by analyzing these patterns and by looking at just how people behaved and how these trends shaped people's, I guess, some bigger behaviors that led them down certain paths in the past, we can probably choose how to mitigate the risk or avoid the risk of having those things happen again in the future. So, and in a few areas, both personal and on a bigger like ideological level as well. So,
Okay, cool.
mhm.
Now let's turn to your personal relationship with your own personal past, present, and future. Some
Mm.
people say, I don't know if it's correct or not, but some people say that everybody has an optimistic, realistic, and pessimistic outlook for one of those. So like for me, I think I'm pessimistic about the past, optimistic about the future, and realistic about the present. Can you do that for you?
I would say I am mostly pessimistic about the past, with a few moments where I do feel as though times were simpler. Like when I was 9 or 10, I got Video games, I was just happy to play video games, just hang out with friends, during weekends. And I remember, like, in Canada we call grade six, in the US it's called sixth grade. But I remember that was the time when I was just starting to just socialize a bit better. And our teacher, she had this pet hamster, or sorry, guinea pig, that she let, like, us take turns just taking home every week. And every time it was my turn, I was very happy. So that was a memory for me. So I do feel as though sometimes those were simpler times for me. But as I got older, I became aware of more things, of what was happening to me, all the pressure that was put on me. So that really sucked. So I do wish I was more assertive. That I do wish I was more, I guess, at least more, just didn't let all of that get to me. I wish I stood up for myself more. My relationship with my present, I would say, again, it's mm, I'd say more positive than not. I've been in some bad relationships. I was glad to get out of them. Just looking back, they were probably for the better. And my relationship with the future is, well, again, it's a mix. Pessimistic, seeing a lot of things that are going on in the world, but also optimistic, because I want to hold on to that hope of, things changing for the better, and just ending up in a world where I'm more understood, and I can, just more feel freer to be myself. And yeah, just
Okay, so you have a vision for how you'd like the future to be different from the present, and it involves you being more free to be yourself.
yeah, more free to be
Okay.
myself. And
Do you have a
hopefully
sense of how to get like of what's what's making you less free to be yourself?
basically just coming to terms with the fact that that just different people just go through stuff in life, and it's okay for me to I'm just to be no different than them. And it's okay for me to just not let the past and my failures in the past define who I am going forward. Maybe that's something I've been trying to come to terms with. And also, just settling into a lifestyle, maybe finding that place where I can, just have my little corner of the world and just be at peace and just not have to worry about lots of stuff. So, people and all that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hmm.
Um, do you envision a future where you have kids, or are you unsure about it, or no, you definitely don't want to have kids?
I would say I'm unsure about it right now. I used to be more sure, but I was actually married for a year, and well, she turned out to be the wrong person. So yeah, I'm not so sure
Hey, don't
about.
don't beat yourself up. I'm on wife number three. So
Yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
it took me two bad wives plus a bad girlfriend or two in there, to
yeah.
to find the right person. So don't
Yeah,
give
I
up.
know, I
Don't give
know.
up yet.
I actually have, feel as though I see these things for what they are after my own experience. Because whereas in the past, I guess I placed a lot of, I guess, expectations on myself to just get it right the first time around and just have everything set in place. But right now, I'd say I have a more, I'm not so sure right now, because yeah, when it comes to kids, first of all, there's the issue of what sort of world I'm bringing them into. And the world I see right now around me, I'm not sure if it's a really good place to bring a kid into it. That's part of it. And also, can I reasonably educate them? Can I teach them well? Can I educate them well? Despite me not readily admitting it, I have these doubts as well, and also whether I can just give them a better lifestyle, or as good of a lifestyle as I had myself. So it's a combination of factors, I guess, that
I
makes
see.
me. kind of undecided right now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the NI-polar test,
Uh-huh.
and what this test is, I'm gonna give you the NI-polar test. I'm gonna give you an any story test, and then I'll
Uh-huh.
tell you what type I think you are. Because provided these things confirm what I think, and
Uh-huh.
then you can tell me what you think you are, and we can go from there. So
Uh-huh.
first, NI-polar test. I'm gonna give you a very long sentence with just a few pieces of relevant information in it, and a lot of repetition and
Yeah.
uselessness. I want you to make that long sentence into the most short, concise, this is a nutshell of it that you can, okay?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
If you like music a lot and aren't satisfied with just singing, perhaps the best instrument for you to play is the guitar, because unlike a lot of instruments, the guitar is relatively easy to learn how to play because your two hands do things in the same coordination with each other, unlike playing the piano where your hands do different things at different times, or the drums where your hands do different things at different times, or other instruments where your hands do different things at different times. The guitar is an instrument where both your hands are, they're doing different things, but they're doing them in conjunction with each other so that it's, easy to learn how to play it compared to other instruments. And that's why if you like music and aren't satisfied with just singing, which is in fact easier than playing the guitar, but but you want more than just singing, then maybe the guitar is a good instrument for you to play.
Okay, so I'm gonna try. So if you like music and you don't like to sing, play the guitar. Unlike a lot of other instruments, one hand is only doing one thing at the same time. You don't get that with other instruments. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now I'm going to give you an any test. So
Mhm.
give you the beginning of a story, and I want you to tell me the end of the story.
Uh-huh.
Once upon a time, there was a cat, a dog, and a bird.
Mm-hmm.
The cat was named Meowsy, the
Mm-hmm.
dog was named Barksy, and the bird was named Tweetsy.
Uh-huh.
And they all gathered in the middle of the backyard
Mm-hmm.
of some person's house.
Mm-hmm.
And Barksy said, Meowsy, I told you get out of the backyard. This is my backyard. And then Tweetsy said, hey, don't tell Meowsy what to do. You're not the boss. Now you finish the story.
So Tweetsy's the mouse.
When Tweetsy's a bird. Yeah, Meowsy's a cat, Barksy's a dog, and Tweetsy's a bird.
Ah,
Because
I see.
birds say tweet, dogs say bark, and cats say
Oh,
meow.
okay, okay. So Tweetsy so Tweetsy here's so Tweetsy is obviously quite unhappy at Meowsy telling Tweetsy to get out. And then
No,
Tweetsy and then
Meowsy, no, it was Barksy who told Meowsy to get out. The
and then
dog's
Tweetsy
telling the cat to get out, and the bird's speaking up in the cat's defense, saying, don't tell the cat what to do.
ah so the bird is stepping in and telling the
For the dog, not to tell the cat what to do.
I see. So Tweetsy is like so Tweetsy basically so Tweetsy tells Meowsy, look whose side you're on. Look whose side you're on. And I've been here, I've made my nest. I've made my nest in this forest and I've gathered all my food. I've whether it's seeds or something else. I've been here long before you have. And then I thought when you came, I thought when you and Barksy came in, I thought when both of you came in that you were very nice. And I tried to make friends with both of you, and I even tried to give food to and I even tried to give food to both of you. So why are you telling me to leave? Is this how you treat a friend? Is this how you treat a friend? I don't want, I just want the three of us to get along. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hmm.
So here's the type I think you are, and
Uh-huh.
then you can tell me if you think maybe that's wrong because whatever, and we can talk about it. So
Uh-huh.
I feel very confident that you are an ISTJ.
Uh-huh.
What type did you think you were coming into this?
INFP, ENFP maybe.
No, I feel very confident that you are an ISTJ,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason is basically that you're very clearly SI heavy. Now, it's true that NFPs have FI either third or fourth, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean SI. But you seem to me like an introverted sensing dominant, and most of all, your expression of extroverted intuition is not that of a dominant or a second
Uh-huh.
extrovertedly intuitive person. But so here's what we can eliminate. Also, we can eliminate ENFP because TI polar. You're not TI polar. Okay,
Uh-huh.
it's not conscious, it's not super strong like one or two, but you're definitely not polar. So we can eliminate ENFP. You're also not polar SE. You don't have you don't really have a problem with procrastination. When you said you procrastinate until a few days before the deadline, well, I mean, that barely counts as procrastinating.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, uh, the other thing is, it seems very evident to me that FI is actually, and this is really just from one thing you said. The FI is your third slot function, that it's your key absolute value. Because when I asked you about what's your favorite moment from your year in Thailand, you
Yeah.
told me about giving a fruit vendor a stool to sit on because he worked long days and was on his feet for long hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very FI.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be an equivalent for me would be something like I would say my favorite moment was when I was on stage and I just finished telling my joke at the open mic and everybody laughed so hard. That would be my favorite moment because it's about something where people are giving me affirmation. Whereas for you, you have FI third. That means you put yourself in other people's shoes and you want to do something that matters to them
Mm-hmm.
for for them, not for you. And it makes you feel good, but you do it for them, not for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say that your general manner and affect in talking with you is consistent with FE polar. I don't have a great FE polar test. I don't have a great FI polar test either, but you're clearly not FI polar. And what else is there? Oh yeah, your NI is eighth. Eighth seems right on that because you didn't do great on the NI test, but it wasn't polar.
Uh-huh.
So I think I covered all oh wait, the things we could eliminate. So we could eliminate ISFJ, INFJ, ISTP, and ISFP. You're not any polar, you're not TE polar, you're not TI polar, that's ESFP, ENFP. And you're not SE polar, that's INFP and INTP. That's half the types right there eliminated. You are not NI polar, that's ESTJ and ESFJ. So we eliminate those two. Um, I think it's fair to say you're not FI polar either. So we can eliminate ENTP and ESTP. So right there, we're down to just 6 types left. And most importantly, I think, is you you're very SI,
Uh-huh.
very SI.
Uh-huh.
Thoughts?
Well, thanks for the analysis. Sounds great to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, we have about 9 minutes left. Do you have any questions you'd like me to answer, or you want to direct my
Yeah.
attention anywhere you
So
want?
how long have you been doing this for? Just typing people and all that.
About probably close to 10 years. I'm not sure exactly when I started my first typology upload was probably about 10 years ago, I guess.
Hmm. I see
And
it.
my first one was I was just learning about it myself. I said, "Oh, I just found out about these cognitive function things, and let me read what it says here." So that was my very first video about it.
Yeah, cool, cool. So what got you interested in all of this stuff, typology related and all that?
Well, I was just doing what I would call philosophy work, and I was trying to figure things out about the universe. And at some point, when in my researching and stuff, I came across cognitive functions. I had come across MBTI in my early 30s, but I didn't know anything. I'd never heard about cognitive functions before.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then when I found out about cognitive functions, all of a sudden, it was an interesting idea that I'd not encountered before. And I started thinking about it and playing around with it, like I would with lots of different ideas. But with this idea, I didn't just get tired of it and put it aside because it turned out to be, I mean, it's fair to say the most powerful idea that I've encountered in my life because it gave me a lexicon of terms that I could use to describe my own cognition.
Ah, what's your type?
I'm an ENTP.
Oh, I see, I see, I see.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Cool, cool. So, basically, so on your channel, like when you type people, so most of them ISTJs, like what type do they think they are, like going to your sessions? Like,
Not ISTJ.
yeah.
Occasionally, I'll get an ISTJ who who just doesn't know at all. Maybe somebody else hires me to type them or something, but uh, mostly they think they're some kind of intuitive, either INFP, INTP, INFJ. They
I
usually
see.
think they're an introverted intuitive.
I see, I see. So what about like the actual intuitives? Like what are some differences that you notice with them compared to what you notice about me today?
Well, I think the thing is there's not any actual difference you can point to between intuitives in general and sensors in general because each type has its own unique kind of uh, configural configuration related to things that are communicative and things that are experiential. The thing
Uh,
about the like I'm extremely communicative skewed. My first three functions are all communication functions, and only my fourth is experience. Same with Rachel. But you are the other way around. You have
uh-huh,
three experiential functions up top.
uh-huh.
So, number one, experiential knowing. Number two, experiential solving of problems. And number three, experience of loving people, caring about people, giving that being good, like you were saying about what you did in Thailand, being
Yeah.
good.
Mm,
That's a good memory for you. I
yeah.
one time, my daughter and I gave some clothing to this girl who looked really cold where she was waiting outside the Denny's and back in LA. That's a bad memory for me. Because not because I regret giving her stuff or whatever, but because it's sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, I don't remember what I don't remember where we were. I lost
Yeah.
my train.
What you're talking about, I guess the general differences, between the types and
Oh,
all that.
right. So the thing is, you have an intuition function in the fourth slot and an intuition function in the eighth slot. It means that you don't hold as an absolute value either novelty or relevance, what might be called salience.
Uh-huh.
So, uh, but you'll probably be kind of defensive about the latter. You'll probably be fine with and kind of delegatory about the former. Like, well, look, if you need to make up some random shit, you're willing to do it, that's fine. I'll let you do it. I don't need to waste my time making up some random shit. But on the other hand, if somebody says, I don't think what you're saying is relevant, you're going to feel defensive about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you.
And yeah. And you'll also feel somewhat defensive about or feel subject to critique in matters of correctness, verbal logic and fairness. So if somebody accuses you of being unfair, like, why did you help that one fruit guy but not the other guy over there? That's not very fair of you. You'll feel like subject to critique in that area.
Uh-huh.
In other words, you're likely to go, oh shit, you're right, I fucked up, even though you didn't, obviously.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, he was the only one. He was the only one just near me. He was the only one I could reasonably help.
Right. Well, regardless, the point is that's your countervalued function is TI, which
Uh-huh.
means you don't like it when people want to be very legalistic about their language and insist that, well, you said this and this means yeah. You're not gonna like that very much.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So and then what you're going to respect in others is the ability to get shit done.
yeah.
What's going to give you the most satisfaction for yourself, your own scorecard function, is going to be FI, putting yourself in other people's shoes and being nice, I guess, and loving the people you love. And then in your and then your dominant function is that you know by experience rather than intuition. But the experience is vastly informative because you remember everything. When I
Yeah.
asked you to distinguish between yourself and elementary school and middle school, you had plenty of specific details to tell me. All
Uh-huh.
of that stuff is accessible to you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Sounds great. Yeah. Sounds great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording this here. Are you comfortable with me publishing, or would you prefer me to share it with you privately?
Let me think.
Or you
You
could
can publish
decide
it.
later in email. I can
You
publish
can
it?
publish
Okay,
it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
cool.
All right. All right. All
Thanks
right.
so much. So I'll put this up relatively soon.
All
It'll
right.
be
All right.
published today or tomorrow.
All right. All right. Sounds good. All right.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
See you. See you. Bye.